Right. So, Xpression. So on the desk, let's do the being able to bring in a video. Seems like there might be something that you're after, right? So on the desktop, there's a shortcut called Xpression Video Coder. So you want to, there you go. It just took its time. Okay, so this is a throwback to a piece of software that used to be called Flip Factory. So it's kind of like I think we repurposed it, to be honest, because there are some things here that we don't worry about. So on the left-hand side, you see your incoming. Right-hand side is outgoing. Not that you can change the two; it's always going to be the same. What you can do though is we want a new job. So there's a file, new job. You also have a new job button all the way down the bottom left there. This is where you're going to navigate to your video that we want to convert. I should say not convert, but rewrap. So there's an asterisk by that, which we'll get into. So let's go to the D drive, the media drive. And you're going to go to the demo projects. Let's go to Ross News Hour and go into the video folder, and there is one file. Now this is already a file that Xpression can natively play, but this is more we're going through the steps. So you're going to pick your file. Typically a ProRes file is going to be the friendliest, the best one. If you're bringing in a file that has alpha channel, then we want to see a ProRes 444, there's 4 4s, or a animation codec.
Oh, do animation too, okay.
Yeah. Well, those are the two that you can export out of your most friendly media, other places that give you the option to include alpha. So go ahead and hit OK. Because you're in oh no, you're not in UHD. Oh, that's right. Because your Xpression is 1080, we're good. Because those files are going to get monstrous if you had to do native 4K. All right, so you'll see on the left-hand side timeline, right? You span through that. You also see an add endpoint, or set endpoint, set out point. So that's kind of a fairly new feature where you don't have to bring the whole file in. We can just clip off a little section of it. And I and O, I think, will work too. No? Well, that's an I. Okay. Below that is, so that's step one. If you see a video that you can scrub through, that's a very good sign. So it means it's going to work, more than likely. So the next item down, you've got that's the video files first, right? I think I'll stare at it. Yeah. All right. Alpha handling is the next option. Usually I just go with whatever the default is, best guess. But it depends on your the video file you're bringing in, whether it's got alpha or not. And you'll know that by the system info below, or the info below. You'll see it says 32-bit or 24. So 24 means no alpha, it's just fill only. So that's important when we get later on onto the right-hand side to make sure we match that. The dimensions, do not care. They could be small, could be big, doesn't matter. What really does matter is that frame rate. That has to match your project's frame rate. So 5994 is what you need. This process will not frame convert. So if you bring something in as 23 or 24 or 2997.
Even though I have a drop down here?
Yeah, even though you got a drop down there, that does nothing. Wow. Okay, it does something. It actually puts it into the metadata. That's what the frame rate is, but it's not. Okay. But again, this is a rewrapper. It's not a converter.
Understood.
Yep. For our system, we'll always need 5994.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
That's
in the mode we have it in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can change
because what you're going to find is that your video is going to play back twice as fast or half speed, depending on the frame rate. We're just taking every frame when we're playing it in the rate that the project's set to. All right, frame count is always a good one. Aspect ratio, just how long it is. So it means, helps if you've got it there, if you've got the right version of the file maybe. The other tabs, alpha source, because some places they'll have a video file for fill and key. So if you're unable to get 444 but you've got two files, this will combine them as well as add audio as well. So you've got an audio and you can drop down, pick a file. Yep, whooshes and swooshes, you got it. But if the trick is, if you can get the audio out of this, so de-embed, or you can actually connect it up to the headphone jack and possibly get it straight out. Would give it a test, because I like the de-embedder method. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's your inside. The out is on the right hand side. So the very first thing, we know that we've got 24 bit coming in. So we want to make sure we match that over here. So it should just be RGB, no alpha, right? You'll see that the other options are grayed out because it's locked into, we're doing the output as an Xpression AVI codec. And because I'm making an assumption here that you're all Macs, everything you do is, 50-50. Oh, well then. If you've got Adobe Media Encoder, that is the best thing to have for converting frame rates if things don't match, because you're never always going to get it exactly the right way. Always someone's going to give you something at a weird rate. So that works well, especially if you've got a watch folder. So if you've got Windows machines, we can give you that codec. I say it's not like we give it to everyone, but you can use it to put on have a watch folder for your media encoder, especially if you're running Macs. But it has to be, the codec only works on Windows machines. So, yeah. Well, it's the Xpression codec, it's our codec. Yeah. It's so good that even our competitors steal it to use it, that it being Viz. I've heard Viz people use it, and it's like, hey, you should pay us for that. There is now a new version. This is because you're on the latest version, it's the second generation of Xpression codec. So if you do have people that have video files on the old codec, they can give it to you. But you can't give one of your new ones to an older Xpression because it doesn't know how to play that out. So they can handle some of the HDR stuff. The 4K stuff, I mean, the old one did that too, but it's just, and it's a little, let's say a little heavier. The files that come out of it are a little bigger on the second version. So the machine has to think a little harder. But it's still good, still good. You'll find that the file size that comes out of this is much smaller than the original ProRes file. So, and you can't tell any difference. All right, so we know about the frame rate. I just go with the idea of matching the frame rate so that it matches what you're working in, because maybe one day, I live in hope, that we'll get to be able to convert the frame rate. The default here is going to be the output, the target file. It's going to be the same folder that the original file came in, but you get to choose where it goes. But once you choose it once, it's doing it for all the other jobs that you might have. So typically you're going to throw it into your project folder's video folder, which we'll go into more later. You did see the settings button there. I'll talk a little bit about it, but you don't want to touch any of this. Well, for the reason that all it does, it doesn't give you any increase in quality. It just now makes your file bandwidth much wider. So think of the difference between, you don't have Azure Key Pros, do you? The LT, the the difference between those were like a data rate, like a
Yeah.
bit rate, right? So 75 to 212, and so you're making it go to 220 for no reason. There's not any gain in quality. So it's always just leave it as is. But it's there for some reason. We're always told, don't touch it. All right. So you can feel free to hit the cancel on that. Input for codec.
I don't even know
What we
what
got?
that is.
What we got there?
Perceptual quantization.
Yeah. Bunch of. One of those things where if you need a tweak with it, it might be fun to play with just to see if you can see any difference. But, all right. The field mode, field mode. So progressive is more likely what you're going to do. Even if you had interlaced content, progressive's just fine. If it feels a little weird, try odd and even and go until it hurts. All right. Bottom left now, that bottom left window, you'll see that it says to render queue or center render queue. Yeah, to render. That now takes it out of that preview window, now puts it into the to-do list. So you can either hit render all or render there. So if you hit it, I like watching the progress. Speedily goes across. Obviously it's not having to think too hard, but you will find that the longer the file is, the longer it takes. So it is having to do a bit of thinking to do that. So I wouldn't be doing this stuff during a live production. Might hit your performance. But so now you've got another one with a 1 on it. So that's how you get your video flipped into something that we can see. All right. Hit close on that, and let's go to Xpression. All right. So where it says default here, go ahead and click on that. It sets the view to a default. You can't edit that. You can't screw it up. But you can rearrange this interface to your liking. So these boxes can move around.